The movie begins in Africa, in a land known as the Land of Pride. At that time, all the animals in the kingdom learned that King Mufasa had a son. They gathered to congratulate the king on the birth of his new child. During this moment, the monkey Rafiki marked the face of the newborn, who was named Simba, and presented him to all the animals as an announcement that he would be the future king. All the animals celebrated this joyous occasion, except for one animal, Scar, the lion, who chose to remain in his lair and did not attend the celebration. Scar was busy trying to catch a small mouse when the bird Zazu came to inform him that King Mufasa was coming to see him, angry at his absence from the Prince Simba's birth ceremony. However, Zazu's words distracted Scar, causing him to lose focus and miss the mouse he was trying to catch. Enraged, Scar tried to attack Zazu and eat him instead of the mouse, but King Mufasa intervened at the last moment and saved Zazu. Mufasa scolded Scar, saying, "Why didn't I see you at the celebration?" Scar replied, "I completely forgot about the ceremony." From their conversation, it was clear that Mufasa and Scar were brothers, but Scar held a grudge against Mufasa. He had hoped to become king instead of him. His hatred extended to Simba because he was the rightful heir to the throne. Mufasa said to Scar, "When you speak to me, do not turn your back and walk away." He jumped in front of him, threatening, "I see it as though you are challenging me." Scar sarcastically responded, "I'm always the loser to you." Mufasa confidently replied, "There will come a day when Simba will be king over you and the entire kingdom." Scar mocked, saying, "Long live the king," and then left the place. Zazu suggested to Mufasa that Scar should be exiled from the kingdom, but Mufasa responded, "I can't do that, he's my brother, and this kingdom is his home." Several days later, Simba woke up early and went to wake his father, who had promised to take him on a tour to explore the kingdom. Simba was very excited, and Mufasa took him to the top of the high rock and pointed to the valley before them, saying, "Everything the sun touches is within your kingdom." Simba was amazed and asked his father, "Do you rule all this?" Mufasa replied, "One day, all of this will be under your care." A true king is the one who protects the kingdom and cares for all its creatures. While they were watching the horizon, Simba noticed some distant dark mountains and asked his father about them. Mufasa warned him, saying, "Never go there. That area is outside the boundaries of the kingdom." He added, "When you become king, you must learn to give as much as you take, because life is based on a delicate balance, and you must respect all creatures." After that, Mufasa and Simba began their tour of the kingdom, and on their way, they met Zazu, who informed Mufasa that hyenas had entered the kingdom and were hunting the animals. Mufasa became concerned and asked Zazu to take Simba back home while he went to confront the hyenas and protect the kingdom. Simba wanted to accompany his father and fight alongside him, but Mufasa refused, saying he was still a young cub and insisted that he return home. Simba reluctantly agreed and returned with Zazu. Simba was upset that he couldn't accompany his father, so he decided to play with the other cubs. While playing, he was distracted by a small insect and began chasing it, but he stumbled and fell off the rocks, finding himself in Scar's lair. Scar looked at Simba and coldly said, "Go back to your den. I don't sit with cubs." Simba proudly replied, "I'm not just a cub. I will become the king of the Pride Lands one day. My father took me on a tour and showed me the whole kingdom." At that moment, Scar seized the opportunity with cunning and asked, "Did your father show you the dark area in the mountains?" Simba answered, "No, my father told me not to go there." Scar smirked maliciously and said, "Your father is right, because that is the elephant graveyard, a dangerous place for a young cub. Only the big lions go there to prove their bravery and strength." Scar's words piqued Simba's curiosity and made him eager to see the elephant graveyard. Scar continued, "The area is filled with decaying bones and swamps. Promise me you won't go there, and don't tell anyone what I've told you." But Simba, overtaken by curiosity, decided to go explore the elephant graveyard on his own. Simba decided to go to the young lioness Nala and invite her to go out and play together, but his true intention was to take her to explore the elephant graveyard. As they set out, the bird Zazu accompanied them to ensure their safety. Along the way, Simba said to Nala, "I've heard about an amazing place called the elephant graveyard." Nala eagerly agreed, but the problem was that Zazu was with them, which led them to plan a way to get rid of him. Simba reassured Nala, saying, "Don't worry, I'll find a way." While they were walking, Zazu jokingly said, "It's nice to see the future king with the future queen of the kingdom. One day, You two will be together." Simba and Nala vehemently rejected this talk, firmly stating that they were just friends. Simba responded sharply, "I won't let anyone tell me how to act or what to do, and I won't let anyone choose who I marry. That's not what kings do." While they were playing, Simba and Nala began to run and came up with a plan to distract Zazu. As they were fooling around, Simba seized the opportunity to slip away from Zazu. Zazu noticed this and realized they were heading toward the dark mountains, so he decided to return to Mufasa and inform him of what had happened. Meanwhile, Simba and Nala continued on their way, playing and joking together. Nala managed to knock Simba to the ground and put her paw on him, which made them both laugh. Suddenly, they realized they had reached the dark mountains, where they saw the decaying elephant bones. Nala began to feel uneasy and said, "We need to go back home." But Simba confidently replied, "No need to worry, we're not cubs anymore. We could do whatever we want." As they explored the area, a group of hyenas appeared and surrounded them. One of them sarcastically said, "We have royal dinner today, and we didn't expect that." Then the leader of the hyenas, Shensi, appeared and said, "Mufasa has no authority here. In this place, I do whatever I want." Simba responded defiantly, "You can't hurt me. I'm the next king." Shensi laughed and said, "Show us your strength, little king." She then began threatening to attack him. At that moment, Zazu arrived and asked Shensi to leave them, saying, "They made a mistake by entering this area, but if you harm them, you'll start a war with Mufasa." Shensi laughed again and said, "Hyenas and lions have been at war for a long time." She then ordered the hyenas to attack them. Simba and Nala began to run, trying to escape through narrow tunnels, while the hyenas relentlessly pursued them. The tension escalates as Simba and Nala find themselves surrounded by hyenas on all sides. Simba tries to scare them off with his juvenile roar, but the hyenas laugh mockingly at his weak voice. Suddenly, they hear a loud roar that shakes the place. It is King Mufasa, who courageously charges at the hyenas and drives them away, instilling fear in them. He warns the hyena leader, Shensi, saying, "Stay away from my son again. This is your last warning." Shensi responds with a few words, but Mufasa ignores her and takes Simba and Nala away from the area. Zazu asks Mufasa not to be too hard on Simba, saying, "Remember, you were once a stubborn cub and got yourself into a lot of trouble." Mufasa replies, "But now, I need to teach him an important lesson." Zazu leaves with Nala to head home, while Mufasa stays with Simba. He confronts him, saying, "You disobeyed my orders, and you nearly died. Do you realize you put the future of the entire kingdom at risk?" Simba answers regretfully, "I just wanted to prove my bravery to you. I want to be as brave as you. You're not afraid of anything." Mufasa responds with a gentle tone, "Today, I was very afraid. I was afraid of losing you forever." Courage doesn't mean not being afraid. It means being brave when it's worth the risk. The hyenas today were full of fear because no one messes with your father. Mufasa smiles and ruffles Simba's mane. Then they run and play together. Simba says to his father, "I hope we stay together forever." Mufasa replies with a smile, "If you ever feel lonely, look at the stars in the sky. All the kings of the past are there. They're watching over you and will guide you on the right path." Meanwhile, the hyenas return to their lair, where Scar suddenly appears. He begins manipulating them, saying, "Mufasa sent me to fight you, but I come with a better deal. I sent you Simba and Nala, and yet you failed to kill them." He blames them for their failure, but offers them a tempting proposition. "If you help me kill Mufasa and Simba, I'll become the new king. Then, I'll let you hunt freely in the Pride Lands, with no restrictions." Shensi feels some doubt and says, "But Mufasa is a tough opponent." Scar responds slyly, "I have a well-thought-out plan. Prepare for the overthrow of Mufasa." The hyenas agree and unite with him, setting the stage for the conspiracy. The next day, Scar appears with Simba in a deep valley. He cunningly tells him, "There's one thing you can do to make up for your mistake and earn your father's approval. Roar loudly. The valley we're in will amplify your voice." This is where the old lions used to train their roars. Simba, convinced by Scar's words, starts practicing his roar. Scar watches him with a sinister smile, then leaves him alone in the valley and walks away, ready for the next phase of his plan. The tension continues to rise as Simba escapes from the hyenas chasing him at a terrifying speed. He successfully hides behind a rock, while Scar, with his usual cunning, runs to inform Mufasa, saying, "Hurry, your son is in danger." A herd of stampeding wildebeests is charging through the valley, and Simba is there. Mufasa immediately rushes to save Simba, who has climbed a tall tree for safety. Mufasa reaches the valley and faces the danger of the stampeding wildebeests to reach his son. He tells Simba to climb down quickly, but the wildebeests strike the tree trunk, causing Simba to fall to safety while Mufasa is critically injured in the attempt to save him. Despite his injuries, Mufasa manages to climb up the mountain, where he finds Scar waiting. He asks for help, but Scar remains silent before coldly betraying him. He wounds his own hand and pushes Mufasa off the mountain, causing him to fall into the valley below. Simba screams in terror as he witnesses his father's fall and runs to the lifeless body in the valley. He cries bitterly and lies in his father's arms, unable to believe what has happened. Scar arrives at the scene and begins to manipulate Simba, saying, "You are the reason your father is dead. What will you tell your mother when she finds out you are responsible?" Simba answers innocently and fearfully, "What do I do now?" Scar replies, "Run away. Never come back. This way, you will be safe." Simba, believing him, runs away. The hyenas appear behind Scar, and he orders them to chase Simba and kill him. Simba runs as fast as he can, trying to escape, but he slips and falls from the top of the mountain. The hyenas stop chasing him, fearing a similar fate, and decide to lie to Shensi, claiming they ate Simba, while in reality, Simba has miraculously survived by landing on a rock at the bottom of the mountain. He stumbles away from the kingdom aimlessly, wandering in the desert. Meanwhile, Scar returns to the Pride Lands and tells the lions that he tried to save Mufasa and Simba, but they both died in a tragic accident. He feigns sorrow and says, "Unfortunately, I arrived too late. Now I must take responsibility for the throne. From this day on, I am your new king." He also announces his decision to allow the hyenas to live in the kingdom, under the guise of helping maintain order. The lions, fearful of the hyenas, comply with his order without protest. Back in the desert, Simba continues walking aimlessly under the scorching heat and thirst, eventually collapsing on the ground. Vultures begin to circle overhead, waiting for confirmation of his death so they can feast on him. Suddenly, a pig named Pumbo appears, running toward them, scaring away the vultures circling around Simba, who then move away from him. Afterward, Pumba and his friend Timon notice Simba and become scared when they realize he's a lion. They start talking to each other, and suddenly Simba wakes up. They introduce themselves to him and tell him that they saved his life. However, Simba is reserved, turning his back on them and unwilling to talk. Timon and Pumba notice Simba's sadness and ask him why he's upset. Simba tells them, "I made a huge mistake and I don't want to talk about it." They reply, "We can't change the past, but we can change the future. Forget the bad things that happened before and learn to face life with courage. If the world turns its back on you, turn your back on it too. And remember our most important lesson: be flexible and ignore the problems. That's how we deal with life." Simba feels relieved by Timon and Pumba and joins them in the jungle where they live. The jungle is a peaceful place where animals live together without hurting each other. Simba loves the place and begins to enjoy his new life. At first, he thought he could eat any animal he wanted, but Timon and Pumba explain to him that this is not allowed. They tell him, "Here, we feed on the insects in the ground. They may not taste good, but they are enough to satisfy our hunger. This is our life. No rules, no responsibilities, just enjoyment and peace." Simba learns to adapt to this way of life and starts eating like them. Years pass, and Simba grows into a mature lion. Meanwhile, in the Pride Lands, the situation is extremely bad due to Scar's rule. The land has become dry, and hunting has increased excessively, making it difficult for the animals to survive. The number of large animals like wildebeest has dropped drastically. The lions, too, are gathered together, feeling discontented with the state of the kingdom. Nala speaks to Sarabi, saying, "We have to act and find a solution. You are our queen, and you need to make a decision." From this conversation, we learn that Sarabi was Mufasa's wife and Simba's mother. Despite the dire situation, Sarabi refuses to leave the kingdom and migrate, saying, "This is our land and our home. We cannot abandon it. Be patient, and the right time for change will come." Meanwhile, one of the hyenas approaches Sarabi and informs her that King Scar wants to see her. She then goes to meet him. Scar was eating a dead monitor lizard when Sarabi entered. He tried to persuade her to join him in eating, but she refused, saying, "You've overhunted, killing every animal. Even those that could survive have started fleeing the kingdom." Scar ignored her words and responded, "No animal can challenge me." He then expressed his bitterness about the past, remembering how she had chosen Mufasa over him. Scar offered her to marry him now, justifying it by saying, "The lions don't like me and won't respect me as long as you oppose me." He tried to convince her, saying, "Come closer, sit by my side, and we'll share the same food." But Sarabi firmly rejected, saying, "It's impossible for me to be your queen." Scar angrily replied, "From now on, the lions will only eat what's left by the hyenas, though they hardly leave anything behind." He then ordered the hyenas to devour the bird in front of them. Nala, who was watching the scene, was disgusted by it all. She waited until nightfall when everyone was asleep. She then snuck out of the kingdom, determined to seek help from anyone outside the Pride Lands. Meanwhile, Simba was living a carefree life, spending his days playing with insects and talking to Timon and Pumbaa about life. Timon and Pumbaa told him, every creature should live its life without affecting others. Live and die in peace, because life has no meaning. Therefore, you should only care about yourself. Simba was convinced by their words, and when they asked him how he felt, he answered, "I feel like I don't want to do anything in my life." They welcomed his response, praising him as it reflected their philosophy. One night, Simba was sitting alone, gazing at the sky, remembering his father. He felt a deep sadness and dozed off for a bit. During his sleep, a lock of his hair fell from him and was carried away by the wind. The lock traveled across the river waters, where a bird picked it up and flew off with it. After a while, it dropped the lock, which continued its journey across the African desert until it reached the Pride Lands. There, the wind carried it once more, and ants began to move it toward a large tree where the wise monkey Rafiki lived. When Rafiki saw the lock of hair, he immediately recognized it as Simba's. He felt a great joy and was certain that Simba was still alive. Elsewhere, Timon, Pumbaa, and the other animals were living in peace when suddenly Nala appeared, rushing toward them. She nearly attacked Pumbaa, but Simba intervened at the last moment, stopping her. They didn't know each other yet, but when Nala knocked Simba down, she immediately remembered the moments from the past when she used to do the same thing to him. Their joy at meeting each other again was indescribable. It was a moment of great happiness after such a long time. Simba recognized Timon and Pumbaa and told Nala that she would love the jungle. But she replied, "We have to leave because Scar has taken over the kingdom with the help of the hyenas. You need to reclaim your throne." However, Simba still felt guilty about his father's death and wasn't ready to return. He said, "The jungle is my home now. Stay here and you'll be happy." He took her on a tour to show her the beautiful landscapes. They still cared for each other, but Nala asked, "Since you've been here all this time, why didn't you return to the kingdom?" Simba answered, "The kingdom is better without me, and I don't want to go back." Nala told him that Scar had destroyed the Pride Lands and insisted that she needed his help to reclaim the throne. But Simba remained steadfast in his refusal, clinging to his philosophy of being flexible and caring for nothing but himself. He said, "I no longer worry about anything because worrying is useless." Nala was shocked by what she heard and said, "You're not the Simba I knew. I came here to ask for help from any animal, but it seems I was wrong." Feeling disheartened, she decided to leave. As Simba wandered through the jungle, he reflected on Nala's words. Suddenly, he encountered Rafiki. Simba didn't initially remember Rafiki and treated him like just another animal in the jungle. But Rafiki said, "I'll help you find yourself." Simba mocked him, thinking he was crazy, but Rafiki revealed a secret and said, "I carried Mufasa's son in my hands." Simba stopped suddenly and asked, "You knew my father?" Rafiki answered, "Yes, I knew him very well, and I believe your father is still alive. Come, follow me, and you'll meet him." Simba felt confused and hesitant, but he decided to follow Rafiki. He walked behind him until they reached the river, where Rafiki told him that Mufasa had been waiting for him for a long time. He asked Simba to look at the water, and suddenly a storm appeared in the sky. Mufasa's voice came through the storm, saying, "You must reclaim your throne because this is your path in life. I am always with you, and never forget that you are the king." Simba was deeply moved by his father's words. He stood on the hill, then shouted at the top of his lungs and ran at full speed to catch up with Nala. After several hours of running, Simba finally reached Nala and told her he had changed his mind. Together, they started running toward the kingdom. When Simba saw the dire state of the kingdom, he remembered his father Mufasa's words, "You must protect everything in the Pride Lands." Upon their arrival, Zazu was waiting for Simba, overjoyed to see him again. Timon and Pumbaa also arrived, and they told Simba they would accompany him. Simba noticed that the hyenas were surrounding the kingdom. So he, Timon, and Pumbaa began brainstorming a way to distract the hyenas so Simba could enter the kingdom. Timon and Pumbaa agreed, and they started to divert the hyenas, who took the bait, giving Simba and Nala the chance to enter the kingdom. Meanwhile, Scar was asking Sarabi to marry him, but she refused, saying, "You are nothing to Mufasa." Angry, Scar started to approach her, and at that moment, Simba arrived at the scene. He stepped away from his mother and advanced towards Scar. Sarabi was in shock when she saw Simba alive, and Simba said to her, "Give me one reason why I shouldn't kill you." Scar responded, "The only reason is that you won't be able to get close to me because the hyenas are on my side." Nala added, "Your reign as king is over because the true king has arrived and all the lions are ready to fight." Scar tried to calm the situation, saying, "Why use violence? I don't want anyone in my family to get hurt." But Scar quickly turned the tables on Simba, accusing him in front of the lions, claiming Simba was the reason Mufasa had died. Simba admitted, "Yes, I am the reason, but it was an accident." Scar seized the moment and continued to provoke Simba, getting closer and saying, "You are a killer and you don't deserve to be king." Simba, as kind-hearted as ever, couldn't respond and began to retreat until he was nearly falling off the cliff. At that moment, Scar remembered a similar scene before Mufasa's death and placed his hand on Simba's shoulder, saying, "I was the one who killed Mufasa." Simba exploded with anger and grabbed Scar's fur, shouting to everyone, "Scar is the one who killed my father." The lions believed Simba's words, and at that moment, Scar ordered the hyenas to attack Simba. Simba fought with all his strength, while the lions joined the battle, and Nala helped Simba fend off the hyenas. Meanwhile, Timon and Pumbaa found themselves surrounded by hyenas from all sides, but Pumbaa, with great bravery, charged at them and attacked with all his might. After that, a fierce battle broke out between Nala and Shensi, and Zazu also joined the fight, doing what he could to help. In the end, the hyenas were about to devour Zazu, but Rafiki, who was carrying his staff, attacked the hyenas and managed to save Zazu. On the other side, the battle between the lions and hyenas raged on, and the lions succeeded in overpowering the hyenas. When the hyenas realized they couldn't win, they decided to retreat, and Scar also decided to flee when he realized he was losing. But Simba didn't let him go and followed him until they reached a dead end. Scar begged for mercy, saying, "The hyenas are the ones who rebelled against us, and they're the reason for everything. They told me I should kill your father, and I was just waiting for the right moment to kill them." The hyenas overheard Scar's words, but Simba didn't believe him. Scar said, "It's impossible for you to kill your only uncle." Simba responded, "No, I'm not like you. I won't kill you, but I want you to leave the kingdom and never return." These were the same words Scar had once said to Simba when he was young. Scar pretended to accept Simba's request and leave, but suddenly he threw fire at Simba and tried to attack him. Scar almost fell off the cliff, but Simba saved himself, and a fierce battle broke out between them. In the end, Scar slipped from the cliff and fell. Simba felt concerned about him, but he soon discovered that Scar hadn't died. While the hyenas circled around him, Scar said, "We will build a strong army and take back what's ours." But the hyenas responded, saying, "You said we were rebels, and you were just waiting for the chance to kill us." Then Shensi appeared alive. Scar said to them, "I was just fooling Simba, nothing more." But the hyenas didn't believe him and attacked him, killing him. After the battle ended, rain began to fall, extinguishing the flames of the conflict. Simba greeted all the lions, and Rafiki returned to announce Simba as the new king. Simba climbed the rock, looked at the sky, remembered his father's words, and then roared. After some time, the animals gathered to congratulate him, as he now had a cub with Nala, and the kingdom returned to its prosperous days. If you love movies and movie recaps, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more. Hit like if you enjoyed the video, and share your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.